Welcome to Bad Advice, a podcast filled with interesting, sometimes funny, cringy, plain shitty advice that startup founders have received or investors have given that made someone learn some lessons the hard way. My name is Jurģis Kalniņš from BADideas.fund. The podcast is brought to you by Investment and Development Agency of Latvia and Investment and Tourism Agency of Riga. Today's guest is Lauris Rutkis, but more on him after the intro. Lauris is the co-founder and CEO of Swotzy, a logistics platform born from a decade of experience across Maersk, DPD, and Printful. He's led large-scale cargo operations across Europe, driven process improvements and partnerships in global supply chains, and is now building tech to modernize last-mile logistics in the Baltics. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Lauris.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I want to bring something to you that you will not be expecting to see. So, this is from 2018.
Yep.
I've done my research, and looking back at this person, did you know that he's going to build something cool?
Actually, I knew.
Oh.
I knew already then that I will build something cool.
Okay, how did you get to building something cool?
I don't know, I just had this feeling, since high school, that I want to build something awesome, and it's just a matter of time of getting there. So it somehow lived inside me for those years of not building. It still was like, okay, I should get to something soon.
And what was sort of the timeline? When did you start? When did you land on the idea? And how did it materialize over the years?
The idea came in my head in 2022. I think it was first part of the year. And then my initial thought was, okay, I need to find some co-founders. So actually, first phase of building business was finding people to build with. And that was quite challenging part because before moving back to Latvia, I lived 8 years in Netherlands. So returning to Latvia meant that actually I don't have a quite good circle of people and network. So it was quite hard to really find the co-founders. So luckily I had a good friend who at that time worked at Nordigen and had some startup experience, and that's helped to kick things off.
Were you also the face? Were you also the front of it? Did you do all the talking with investors, with partners?
With the Swotzy, I had this idea when I was working at Printful. I saw how difficult and challenging it can be to really run effective shipping operations. And I saw many problems even at that scale Printful had. And it was like, if company at such scale with such resources still have those problems, there must be plenty of other e-commerce companies struggling with the same. So that was the initial spark for the idea. And then the first co-founder was Christians. He was very good friend of mine for years, and also best man at my wedding, and it was a no-brainer to go to him. He was also the one working at Nordigen and had the startup experience I mentioned about. And Christians helped to find the third co-founder, which was the technical co-founder. I think that's one of the cornerstones of technology companies, having a good technical co-founder as well, right?
Can you give us a one-liner of Swotzy?
It's a shipping platform that helps e-commerce sellers to save time and costs when managing their shipment. So
you were a group of three. Did all three of you have experience like building startups beforehand?
No, not really. I think we had experience of working at startups, even though when I joined Printful, it was very hard to call it startup because of the scale and the size of the company, but it still gave really great experience of seeing how companies with the IT-first mindset operate, and that really gave a lot. And for second two co-founders, it was Nordigen and I think some other startups as well. Just seeing how startups are run from the inside helps quite a bit already. Okay,
so you didn't really need much of outside help or advisory or?
No, actually very, very little at that point.
But at one point, you probably realize, okay, we can't or can sustain ourselves just by running with our own funds, and we need to raise some funding. How did you get to that point?
Somehow it came very naturally. I remember there was for Start in LV, the Latvian Startup Association, there was Valentine's Day speed dating early 2023. And we didn't participate, but we were like, okay, let's check what funds actually are coming there. And we saw First Pick and some couple other funds, so I reached out to 3 funds. Then we had week later initial call with First Pick to share a bit more. I think 2 weeks later we were in Vilnius meeting them, and we secured our first check. So
What?
It wasn't a story where we needed to reach out to hundreds of investors to pitch. It actually was at that time. I think I had talked with like 3 or 4 VCs, and I still remember that I didn't understand VC language because it was like all of the specific names for the things. Like, guys, can you just speak English so I can understand what you really are asking for? So yeah, it was a bit for us other way around in the fundraise. That fundraise kind of came to us, and we didn't need to push for it.
Oh my God, love that.
Yeah. Not you don't hear those stories that.
So you didn't even create an ugly spreadsheet.
No, the first stress was like when they asked to share the pitch deck, like, okay, pitch deck, we don't have that. Okay, let's try to build something up, right? And then I remember as well, they were like, do you have any estimates on the revenues or some other metrics? Like, nope. And like, okay, that works as well. And we actually joined their accelerator program. So we, during that program, got all of those pieces together as well. But at least we had initial cash, so all 3 of us could move away from full-time jobs and jump into it fully.
What was the main, for First Pick, what was the main selling point from your end? So you barely had a pitch deck, you didn't go through hundreds of investor meetings. Was it your personality? Was it some numbers that you were able to already provide? What did they...
I think it was a mix of 2 things. One was that we, on the paper, looked like a really good co-founders because all of us had startup experience. We knew into what we are getting into. We knew what it means. But I think the other part was my personality and how passionately I talk about the topic. And the shipping is not one of the most common topics. And even though I think VCs don't understand half of what I'm saying, but by seeing how passionate I am about it, it's like, okay, this guy might know what he's talking about.
How did you approach asking for advice? Or was the advice coming to you without you asking it?
No, for advice, you have to ask. That's what I learned. For me, personally, I still don't have any like formal advisors or people. It really depends on a topic or matter I'm dealing with. And then I just try to go through the network of people I know and reach out to people I think might have knowledge or at least experience with such matter. In a fundraise as well, we talked with Nordigan co-founders just to hear their opinion because, valuations, term sheets, we knew nothing about it. How do you set even valuation? Is it a good round? Is it a bad round? How to know, right? So the most important thing is just asking for it.
And were you taking everything at face value? Or you like very open to all advice, or did you try to filter through some?
No, I filtered actually quite a bit because even though people might have similar experiences, people still tend to look smarter than they are, and sometimes even if they don't know, they kind of make it in a way that seems that they know about the stuff. So I filter out quite a bit.
In all of this, there must have been a shitty advice at some point. What was the shittiest one?
I think there have been a lot of shitty advices, right? But what particularly for us was really bad advice, and it came quite a bit from investors.
After investing or before?
After.
Okay.
And I think one of the worst was that had quite big impact on the company journey as well was you need to expand fast, right?
Okay.
You cannot focus on Latvian market. You need to go into other markets. You need to grow internationally. Sounds like a good advice, right? Yeah, any company with global ambitions need to go into export markets, right? But what happened when you start thinking about expansion too soon, when your product is not ready, your focus starts to scatter over too many different things. And what happened for us, particularly in expanding to Lithuania, which seemed like, oh, it's a neighboring country, must be the same market, everything looks the same, let's just give it a shot. Actually, that really slowed us down because we needed to hire some people there. That was very tricky to manage with one person being working remotely, everyone else in the office, how you incorporate that one person. That person didn't onboard that nicely, so we had to release the person, so the focus was on and off, but you still spend quite a bit of time and resources, so we burned quite a bit of money. And the worst thing was that now those investors who told that you need to expand are evaluating your results. And they're like, oh, so the product is working just in Latvia and not in Lithuania. So are you able to go into any bigger markets? Yeah, we are. We just need time to really push through the product.
That's painful. In the first place, why did you trust the advice? Why did you go with it? You were like, you probably sort of beneath everything you knew that we need to hone down and focus in, but okay, let's try it.
I think it wasn't that much of trusting, but it more felt like we have to do it, otherwise we will start to lose investor trust and we will maybe not really grow that much because Latvia is not that big of a market and we actually would need some additional presence in additional countries. And I think that was more a fear than really saying, oh yeah, that's a good advice, but it was fear if we don't do it and if we don't grow nicely in Latvia, we might not succeed in what we are trying to accomplish.
Fair.
Because if at first rounds they just evaluate you as a founders because you don't have any product, you don't have any results, then after those first rounds, suddenly everyone pays attention just to the numbers. And that's a big switch that founders need to go through as well.
Mm-hmm. And summarizing this experience in particular, what's sort of the good advice that you have taken and maybe would be able to give to other new aspiring founders that are willing to fundraise quite soon?
I think it's not bad to be in small market for a certain period of time. And I really like what Sam Altman told in Y Combinator interview as well. It's way better to get big market share of the small market than small market share of big markets. So actually focusing on small markets can be very, very beneficial because your feedback loop is very short. You can iterate really fast, you can develop very fast, you can push those things into the market, not worrying about localizations, all of the complex stuffs, what's involved when you operate in multiple markets. So actually taking that time and really spending with your customers and getting product ready for expansion, that's really a golden thing that any founder should do.
Any other shitty advice you got along the way? Maybe there's some shitty advice that you're currently coping with.
I think also one of the bad advices and shitty advices is that you need to get experienced people into the team. That for me has not worked out very, very good. Okay, for development and IT team, it's working really great because we have a very, very awesome team. But in like management roles, the more experienced people you hire in early stage, the more trouble you will have with them. Because is your company really ready for this experienced person? And is this experienced person now ready to take a step back and get hands-on with all of the stuff that needs to be done? Or they just want to be this high-level position telling others what to do? And what we noticed, especially in early stage, when you get super experienced people, they don't want to work that hard and they don't want to get into details that much. They want to be more on this managerial level. So what turned out that actually young people, frequently straight out of university with the right mindset, would outwork those experienced people. And I think in early stage, when time still is very valuable, outworking others is very important.
That was a nice transition to lightning round. I'll shout some cliche advices that you've already sort of mentioned throughout the discussion. First, and you just have to say, what do you think from your own experience? Hire slow, fire fast?
Definitely. Have done it other way around, didn't work out. So really pay attention to what you hire, especially when you talk about first 10 people of company, it's what will make or break the company. So really don't speed up. Even you get the first investment check, you have money, you want to move forward, hire slow.
Raising less money is always safer than raising more.
No. Because if you have very great product, you are working in very big market, and if you are raising too little, it might seem very weird for investors, especially if they receive other pitch decks and they know what other companies are raising. And if you're raising like, I don't know, 20% of that, the question is why? So either you understand the market, you don't understand the dynamics, and it can cause actually a different perspective about you not being too ambitious in building company as well.
Reflecting a little bit about the main story of your shitty advice. I love that it's called bad advice, but I'm just like, let's go with shitty advice. The best VCs are the ones who stay out of your way during like operational.
Yeah, 100%. Because VCs don't understand your product, your customers that much into detail. They can help you with some generic advice or high-level advice, but when especially you're talking about the product and how to approach, let's say, new market expansion, that really should remain on your own plate. And we are very happy that for us, actually, it has worked that way.
I want to bring this jam back up for the finale.
This is great. Now I know why you told cringe things. This is about this, right?
So imagine in 10 years we're meeting here again. We're looking, instead of this picture in the frame, we're going to have a picture from a still from the recording now. What does that person, aka you right now, think you will have achieved in 10 years' time?
I think the biggest achievement will be my learning curve. That's one thing that I'm taking out already from these 3 years, just how much I have grown as a person, not only linked to the knowledge of building a company, but in general of learning so much new stuff. And I bet in 10 years I will be able to learn much, much more about how things could be run more efficiently, better, and nicer as well.
Any last words of advice you want to share?
To founders that are just starting out, it will be a lot of work. And if you will not put in a lot of work, it most likely will not work out. So be patient, work hard, and at some point you will start to see results coming back.
Thank you, Lauris, for stopping by today. I heard some notifications on your phone, so you better wrap up and get back to work because, as you said, it's hard work. And keep in touch and see you around.
Thanks for the invite. It was really fun.
Yay.
Yeah.
See ya.